So when going back to phonetics, if you think about facilitative contexts, if you remember, that's when we use surrounding phonemes to facilitate another phoneme. So we're using a child's knowledge or understanding or ability to produce one phoneme in order to potentially facilitate the production of another one that maybe surrounds, or taking advantage of, let's say that there's tongue tip elevation or tongue side elevation, and we use that for a different or a surrounding phoneme to then facilitate a new one. And so because American English speakers can generally produce alveolar taps or flaps in different contexts, like I mentioned earlier, with the D, the T, the double D, the double T, the tap then becomes a facilitative approach. And that's what I'm calling it here. The tap, and just for the sake of ease, I'm going to just call it a tap, but it is sometimes referred to as a flap. So if you hear me say flap or tap, I'm using those interchangeably because they're generally used interchangeably. So the tap is, in my view, what is really the foundation for the trilled R. And again, that's for speakers who speak both Spanish and English. So let's say that you're working with a child or an adolescent who speaks English, but is also a Spanish speaker and is struggling with that trilled R, and it's significantly impacting their intelligibility or creating a lot of embarrassment or whatever the case might be. So if you're working with the Spanish R for that child or individual, then their knowledge of English can help. So where I begin is, and I'm going to be dividing this, talking about drills, and there is a systematic way that I go about this, but of course you have to utilize your own judgment in terms of where the individual that you're working with might fall or where they might be struggling. But I'm going to present to you at least the system and how I go about it. And then you, of course, would have the ability to adjust however you see fit. But using the facilitative context of the tap sound, and again, we're thinking butter, ladder, so that da-da-da-da-da sound, we attempt the R in medial position just with the tap initially. And I'm going to show you a diagram with the words. So the first block there on the upper left, we start with helping the individual get to that the medial tap. And the reason that sometimes this is a little bit hard is because they're used to seeing an R, especially if they also speak English. When they see that R, they would have a tendency to say bara, kara, dara, right? Because that's what maybe they're thinking automatically with that R. So it's really just helping them train to a new, to see that and associate it differently to access that tap, right? So then the drill becomes that they are just making that tap in all of these different targets. So bara, cara, dara, fara, gara, lara, mara, nara, para, sara, dara, vara, sara, and you're just having them go through and then, bade, kare, dare, and so on, badi, kari, dari, and you just go through all of the different targets and making sure that they are comfortable getting to that tap in that medial position, but seeing the R sound, right? Seeing the R grapheme, but producing it as a tap rather than the American English R, right? So drill 3 is the last drill before we start talking about the trill or really attempting it. Here's where we practice the tap in consonant blends in real words in Spanish. Again, you can add images to depict the words. So this, you can see here, I have, this time I have it going across the same vowel rather than down. So I apologize for that. But so this time you would want to go across to maintain the A constant before you go down and you are alternating vowels, right? But at any rate, you have brazo, crayón, dragón, frase, grama, práctica, trabajo. So you have all of these words with bra, cra, dra, fra, gra, pra, tra. And then you have bre, cre, dre, fre, gre, pre, tre, right? So you have all of the different blends that occur in Spanish paired with the different vowel sounds, right? And I spend a significant time on achieving accuracy, speed, and comfort level with the tap because I believe strongly that this is the foundation for the trill.